The large meeting chamber of the Galactic Confederation fell silent as Ambassador Zilkthar stepped onto the raised platform. His blue skin shimmered under the soft lights as he gestured with all four arms for attention. The 60 representatives from 32 peaceful species waited quietly. "We have detected new signals," Zilkthar said. His translator device made his voice sound deep and clear. "From the third planet of a yellow star system in Sector 7. On the big screen behind him, an image of Earth appeared. Blue oceans and green land showed through white clouds. The species calls itself human and their planet Earth," he continued. "We need to study them before making contact." Kevin Wright sat in his small apartment on the Confederation space station when his communication device beeped. He was a first contact specialist, trained to observe new species. When he saw the message from Ambassador Zilkthar, he quickly packed his bags. 2 days later, Kevin met with Dr. Olivia Grant, a xenobiologist with bright eyes and a quick smile. "Ready to study some humans?" she asked as they boarded the observation ship. "Always ready for a new species," Kevin replied. "What do we know so far?" "Not much. They have technology, cities, and many different cultures. They seem to be advancing quickly." The small observation ship took 3 weeks to reach Earth. They stayed far enough away to avoid detection, but close enough to receive all broadcasts and observe the surface with powerful cameras. Kevin and Olivia were shocked by what they found. "This can't be right," Olivia said, staring at her screen. According to their own records, they'd had over 15,000 wars in their recorded history. Kevin looked over her shoulder. "That's impossible. No species could survive that much conflict." But the evidence was clear. Humans had fought each other constantly throughout their history. Even now, with technology that could feed everyone and make life comfortable, they still had armies and weapons. "We should watch their military training," Kevin suggested. "It might help us understand." They directed their observation cameras to places called boot camps and training grounds. What they saw made them uncomfortable. Human soldiers ran for miles carrying heavy packs. They crawled through mud under barbed wire, while instructors fired live bullets over their heads. They practiced fighting with and without weapons for hours until they collapsed from exhaustion, only to get up and continue. "Their endurance is incredible," Olivia whispered as they watched a group of soldiers still moving after 3 days with almost no sleep. Kevin nodded. "And look at how they train for space combat." The screen showed human pilots in simulation chambers, practicing maneuvers that would kill most species. They pulled forces that would make Confederation pilots pass out, yet the humans seemed to enjoy it. "They're designing weapons to use in space," Olivia noted, pointing to another screen. "Look at the size of those ships they're building." After 2 months of observation, Kevin prepared his report for the Confederation Council. He stayed up late, carefully choosing his words. "The humans of Earth are unlike any species we have encountered," he wrote. "They are masters of warfare, having survived thousands of conflicts that would have destroyed any other civilization. Their bodies can endure extreme conditions, and they seem to thrive under pressure that would kill most of us." He paused, then added, "I strongly recommend extreme caution. These humans are not malicious, but they are dangerous. Their history shows they can be both incredibly violent and surprisingly kind. Until we understand them better, direct contact would be unwise." Kevin sent the report, then looked out his window at the blue planet below. Something told him the Confederation wasn't ready for humans yet. On Earth, a young Air Force radar technician noticed an unusual blip high above the atmosphere, but by the time she called her supervisor, it was gone. 30 years passed since the Confederation first discovered humans. During this time, Earth developed faster than light travel and began exploring nearby star systems. They built mining stations around several planets and moons. The Confederation watched from a distance, still unsure about making contact. Captain Leah Patterson stood on the bridge of the human mining vessel Asterisk, Deep Horizon Asterisk, near Proxima Centauri. She had short brown hair and eyes that missed nothing. Her crew of 25 worked quietly around her, monitoring the mining drones collecting rare minerals from the system's asteroid belt. "Captain, we're picking up an unknown ship approaching," said Sam, her sensor operator. His eyes were fixed on the screen in front of him. Leah walked over and looked at the readings. "Not one of ours. It's not using any Earth engine designs." The crew fell silent. This would be humanity's first contact with alien life. "Open a channel, all frequencies," Lee ordered, "and alert Earth Command." On the alien merchant vessel Stardawn Captain Grelvik was panicking. The ship had suffered navigation system problems and accidentally entered the restricted zone around the human territory. "We must leave immediately," he told his crew. "This area is forbidden by Confederation law." But before they could turn around, their communication system beeped with an incoming message. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Leah Patterson of the Earth mining ship Deep Horizon Please identify yourself." Grelvik hesitated. The Confederation law clearly stated no contact with humans was allowed, but ignoring them might seem hostile. "Perhaps a brief response while we leave," suggested his first officer. Grelvik nodded and opened the channel. "This is Captain Grelvik of the merchant vessel Stardawn We apologize for entering your space. We had navigation problems and will leave immediately." On the Deep Horizon Leah frowned. The alien ship was turning away quickly. "Wait," she transmitted. "There's no need to leave. We'd like to establish friendly contact." The Deep Horizon moved closer to the alien vessel. On the Stardawn alarms sounded. "They're approaching," cried a crew member. Grelvik remembered the Confederation reports about human aggression and panicked. They might attack. Fire warning shots, far from their ship. The Stardawn fired energy pulses that passed half a kilometer from the human vessel. On the Deep Horizon the mood changed instantly. "They're firing on us," Sam shouted. Leah's expression hardened. "Defensive positions. Return fire. Disable their engines only." The human ship moved with surprising speed. Its weapons systems locked onto the Stardawn with precision that shocked the alien crew. The Deep Horizon fired once. The shot was perfectly aimed at the Stardawn's engine section. What should have been a disabling shot created an unexpected reaction with the alien ship's power core. In a blinding flash, the Stardawn exploded. Leah stared in horror at the debris field where the alien ship had been. "We didn't mean to destroy them," she whispered. "We just wanted to stop them from firing again." 3 days later, the Galactic Confederation Council held an emergency session. "This confirms everything in Specialist Rights report from 30 years ago," said First Counselor Vren. "The humans destroyed one of our ships with a single shot." Ambassador Zilkthar raised all 4 hands. "But our ship fired first. The humans may have seen it as self-defense." "It doesn't matter," replied another counselor. "Their weapons are too powerful, their reactions too quick. They destroyed a ship they only meant to disable. Imagine what they could do if they intended destruction." The debate lasted for hours. Finally, the council voted. "It is decided," announced First Counselor Vren. "We will create a non-engagement protocol regarding humans. No Confederation vessel or citizen shall approach human-controlled space without special permission. The penalty for breaking this law will be severe." As the council members filed out, Kevin Wright, now older and a senior advisor, watched with sad eyes. The chance for peaceful first contact had been lost in a tragic misunderstanding. On Earth, military leaders studied the recordings from the Deep Horizon Humanity now knew they weren't alone in the universe, and that the aliens might be hostile. 1 month after the Proxima incident, the full Confederation Council gathered in their grand chamber. Representatives from all 32 species sat in curved rows facing the central platform. The mood was tense. First Counselor Vren, tall with green skin and 6 eyes, stood at the center. Today we must formalize our policy on humans, he said. The preliminary non-engagement protocol must become law. Screens around the chamber showed images of Earth and its colonies. Maps displayed human territory with red borders. I propose we designate all Sol system and human colonies as restricted military zones, Vren continued. No ship or person may enter without special permission from this council. Ambassador Zilkthar rose. Isn't this extreme? The incident was partly our fault. Our ship fired first. Which is exactly why we must stay away, Vren replied. Humans respond to any threat with overwhelming force. They destroy our ship with one shot when they only meant to disable it. Their weapons are too powerful for their control. The council talked for hours. Finally, they voted. The results showed on the big screen. 29 species voted for the restriction. 3 abstained, none opposed. It is decided, Vren announced. I hereby enact Galactic Law 7392, the Human Non-Engagement Protocol. The official document appeared on all screens. No Confederation species shall approach human territories or vessels without explicit council approval. All ships must stay at least 1 light-year from known human space. Violators face imprisonment and their ships will be confiscated. This law is for the safety of all. As the council members left, Alan Summers stayed in his seat. He was one of only 3 humans allowed in the Confederation as observers. With dark skin and a thoughtful face, Alan represented Earth's Western Alliance. Alan knew the other council members feared humans. He had read Kevin Wright's original report and understood their concerns, but he didn't agree with complete isolation. Later that night, Alan met with Dr. Samantha Miller in a quiet corner of the station's garden area. Samantha had blonde hair pulled back in a practical style and wore the blue uniform of Confederation scientists. They passed the law, Alan told her. We're officially dangerous now. Samantha shook her head. This is wrong. Humans aren't just warriors. We're explorers, teachers, healers too. They only see our military history, Alan said. 15,000 wars is hard to ignore. I finished my research paper, Samantha said, lowering her voice. It shows humans could be valuable allies. Our adaptability and problem-solving are unique among known species. Alan looked surprised. You're still publishing it. The council won't like that. Science should be honest, not political, she replied. Besides, someday they might need us. The next morning, Samantha's paper appeared in the Confederation scientific database. It caused immediate controversy. Many scientists called it dangerous. Others found it fascinating. The paper argued that human warfare had pushed their technology forward. Their medicine was advanced because they needed to heal combat injuries. Their space travel developed quickly because of competition between nations. Their creativity came from needing new solutions to survive. Humans aren't aggressive by nature, she wrote. They are protective. Their willingness to fight comes from defending what they care about. This same quality could make them the strongest defenders the Confederation has ever known. The Council ordered her paper labeled as fringe science and restricted access to it. But many had already read it. On Earth, military leaders continued building their fleet. They had seen the alien ship, and though they didn't know about the new law, they prepared for possible threats from space. Captain Leah Patterson, now promoted to admiral after the Proxima incident, oversaw the construction of Earth's first battle cruisers. These ships combine mining vessel toughness with new weapon systems. We don't want war, she told her officers. But we will be ready if it comes to us. 5 years after the Human Non-Engagement Protocol became law, alarms sounded throughout the Confederation space station. Red lights flashed in every corridor as representatives hurried to the emergency meeting chamber. First Counselor Vren stood grimly at the center platform. We face a grave threat, he announced. The Devourer Hive has entered our space. Gasps filled the room. The Devourer Hive was an insect-like species from beyond known space. They traveled in massive swarm ships and consumed all resources from planets they visited, leaving nothing behind. They have already taken 3 outer worlds, Vren continued. Our defense forces engaged them at Kelnar IV but were quickly defeated. Images appeared on the screen showing giant black ships shaped like beetles. Smaller craft swarmed around them like angry wasps. Confederation ships fired energy weapons that barely damaged the thick black hulls. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Harris sat up straight in his chair. As the newest human representative to the Confederation, he had only been at the station for 6 months. With short red hair and a serious face, he listened carefully as the council discussed options. Our weapons aren't effective against their armor, said the defense minister, and they outnumber us 5 to 1. Can we evacuate the threatened systems? Asked another council member. There's not enough time or ships, replied the transport minister. Millions would be left behind. The debate continued for hours. More reports came in of hive ships moving deeper into Confederation space. 4 more planets sent distress signals, then went silent. Daniel watched the council grow more desperate. He thought about Dr. Samantha Miller's paper, which he had read despite its restricted status. Humans were good at war. The Confederation needed help. Finally, Daniel stood. I have a suggestion, he said. All eyes turned to him. Humans rarely spoke at council meetings. Ask Earth for help, he said simply. The chamber erupted in protests. Impossible. The humans would be worse than the hive. They used this to take over the Confederation. First Counselor Vren raised his hands for silence. Lieutenant Commander Harris, we have the non-engagement protocol for good reasons. I understand, Daniel replied. But humans specialize in fighting threats like this. It's what we're good at. And if we let them into Confederation space with warships, countered another council member, how do we know they won't turn on us after? Daniel looked around the room. You don't. You'd have to trust us. But right now, you're losing this war. As he finished speaking, another emergency message arrived. The hive had destroyed the Confederation's largest defense fleet. They would reach the Central Worlds within 2 weeks. The council fell silent. Fear filled the room. Alan Summers, now a senior representative, stood beside Daniel. I've lived among you for 8 years, he said. I understand your fears about humans, but I also know the hive will show no mercy. Earth can help, if you ask. First Counselor Vren closed all 6 eyes briefly, thinking. Then he looked at the human representatives. How quickly could Earth respond? We have a fleet ready, Daniel said. Admiral Patterson has been preparing for space defense since the Proxima incident. I believe she could deploy within days if asked. The council debated through the night. Finally, as morning approached, they voted. By emergency powers, I temporarily suspend Law 7392, announced First Counselor Vren. Lieutenant Commander Harris, please contact Earth immediately. Tell them. He paused. Tell them we request their assistance. Daniel nodded and hurried to the communication center. As he prepared the message to Earth, he knew everything would change after this. Humans were about to show the galaxy what they could really do in a war. On Earth, Admiral Leah Patterson was reviewing fleet exercises when the urgent message arrived from the Confederation. She read it twice, then pressed the emergency alert button. All ships, battle stations, she ordered. This is not a drill. 3 days after the emergency message, the Confederation Council waited nervously in the main docking bay of their space station. Alerts had come in that human ships were approaching. How many vessels did they send? Asked First Counselor Vren. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Harris checked his data pad. The message says 15 warships led by the flagship Deterrent Asterisk. The council members looked at each other with worry. Even 15 ships seemed like too many human warships to allow into their space. A voice came over the speakers. Confederation Station. This is Admiral Michelle Garcia of the United Earth Fleet requesting permission to dock. Daniel sent the approval code, and the station's massive doors slowly opened. The council members gasped as they saw the human ships. They were larger and more heavily armed than expected. The flagship Deterrent was twice the size of the largest Confederation vessel. When the boarding tunnel connected, Admiral Garcia walked through with 10 officers behind her. She wore a crisp blue uniform with gold decorations. Her black hair was pulled back tightly, and her dark eyes took in everything at once. "Thank you for your invitation," she said formally to First Counselor Vren. "Earth is ready to assist against the Devourer Hive." The group moved to the council chamber where Admiral Garcia surprised everyone with her first statement. "Before we begin," she said, "I should inform you that humanity has been aware of the Galactic Confederation for nearly 30 years. Shocked murmurs filled the room. After the Proxima incident, Garcia continued, "We detected your observation vessels. Rather than confront you, we decided to watch and learn. We know about your non-engagement protocol." First Counselor Vren's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. "You knew we were observing you all this time." Garcia nodded. "We have more advanced sensors than you realized. We also intercepted enough communications to learn your language and study your species. If you knew about us," asked a council member, "why didn't you contact us?" "You clearly didn't want contact," Garcia replied simply. "We respected that choice until you asked for help." The Admiral activated a holographic display showing detailed plans for fighting the Hive. The council members were shocked again by how much the humans had prepared. "These are battle strategies based on what we've observed of Hive movements," Garcia explained. "Their pattern suggests they have a central queen ship that controls the smaller vessels. If we can destroy that, the rest will become disorganized." The Confederation military leaders studied the plans with growing amazement. The humans had developed tactics the Confederation had never considered. "This attack pattern seems," one alien general paused, searching for the right word, "reckless. Your ships would take heavy damage." "Yes," Garcia agreed, "but it would work. Sometimes you must accept losses to win." This concept troubled the peace-loving Confederation species, but they had already lost 7 worlds to the Hive. After hours of discussion, they formed a joint command structure. Admiral Garcia would lead the space battle, while Confederation General Kriva would coordinate ground forces on threatened planets. As the meeting ended, Garcia had one more announcement. "The 15 ships you see are just our advance force. 30 more will arrive tomorrow, including ground combat units and our newest carrier vessels." The council was stunned. Humans had built a space fleet much larger than they had imagined possible in just 5 years. That night, as Admiral Garcia returned to her ship, she met privately with Lieutenant Commander Harris. "Are they ready for what's coming?" she asked. Harris shook his head. "They've never fought a real war. Their species evolved without our level of conflict." Garcia looked out the viewport at the stars. "Then they'll learn. The Hive won't stop unless we stop them." On her ship, Garcia sent orders to the waiting human fleet. The first combat units began to move toward the front lines where the Hive was advancing. Human soldiers prepared weapons and checked equipment, their faces serious but calm. War was coming, and unlike the Confederation species, humans were ready for it. 2 weeks after human forces joined the war, Major Jack Howard led his ground team through the ruins of a Confederation city on the planet Velos. Tall buildings lay broken around them. The insect-like Hive had already stripped much of the city before the humans arrived. Jack was a tall man with a scar on his left cheek. He carried a plasma rifle and wore armor that let him move quickly and quietly. 20 soldiers followed him, spread out in a pattern they had practiced many times. "Stay sharp," Jack said into his helmet communicator. "Hive scouts are still in the area." The Confederation had lost many battles against the Hive because they fought in straight lines with direct attacks. Jack's team used different tactics. They hid, set traps, and struck from unexpected directions. "Major, movement at 2 o'clock, whispered Linda, one of his best scouts. Jack signaled the team to freeze. Through the broken walls ahead, they saw 3 Hive soldiers. The insect creatures stood twice as tall as humans on 4 back legs, with 2 front arms holding energy weapons. Their black shells gleamed in the dim light. Instead of attacking right away, Jack had his team set up a trap. They placed small sonic devices in a circle around the area. When activated, these devices would confuse the Hive soldiers' sensitive hearing. When everything was ready, Jack gave the signal. The sonic devices turned on, and the Hive soldiers began moving erratically, unable to coordinate. Jack's team attacked from 3 directions at once, quickly defeating the confused enemies. "That's how it's done," Jack told his team. "Now let's move to the next sector." In space, the battle was much larger. Fleet Commander Nickel Barnes sat in the command chair of the human carrier ship Intrepid *. Screens around her showed the positions of hundreds of ships locked in combat near Andromeda's Veil, a beautiful cloud of gas and stars. The Confederation ships fought bravely, but kept to traditional formations. Nickel had different ideas. "All fighter squadrons, execute Maneuver Theta," she ordered. Her pilots responded immediately. Small, fast human ships broke from their formations and flew directly toward the largest Hive vessel, the suspected Queen ship. They moved in zigzag patterns that seemed random, but actually followed a complex plan. "Commander, that approach vector is too dangerous," warned the Confederation captain on the communication screen. "The fighters will be destroyed." Nickel remained calm. Sometimes you need to appear weak to reveal the enemy's strength. As the human fighters approached, the Hive ships moved to protect their queen, exactly as Nickel had predicted. This exposed a weakness in their defense pattern. "Main fleet, execute Maneuver Omega now," Nickel ordered. The larger human ships suddenly changed direction and accelerated to attack speeds that shocked the Confederation allies. They fired precision weapons at the exposed section of the Hive defense. "They're crazy," gasped a Confederation officer watching from their command ship. "Those maneuvers put terrible strain on their ships and crews." "But look," replied another, pointing at the screens. "It's working." The human attack broke through the Hive defenses, while the smaller fighters distracted the front lines with their seemingly suicidal charge. The main fleet hit the weak spot with overwhelming force. Nickel leaned forward in her chair as the Queen ship came into firing range. "All ships, concentrate fire on the target." Energy beams and missiles struck the massive Hive vessel from multiple angles. Its thick armor began to crack under the coordinated assault. Inside the Hive Queen ship, the ruler of the swarm sensed something she had never experienced before: fear. These new enemies didn't fight like the others. They were unpredictable, seemingly irrational. They took risks no sensible species would take. The Queen sent urgent commands to her forces, but the human attack had thrown their usual perfect coordination into chaos. On the planet's surface, Jack's team joined with other human squads to push the confused Hive soldiers back. In space, Nickel's fleet continued their relentless attack on the Queen ship. The Battle of Andromeda's Veil had begun, and for the first time, the Hive was losing. 6 months after the Battle of Andromeda's Veil, representatives from all Confederation species gathered at Earth's orbital station Unity *. The massive space station shined like a silver star above the blue planet. Inside the main hall, humans and aliens stood together under a large banner that read "Victory Celebration." The room was decorated with symbols from all 32 Confederation species, plus new human designs. Admiral Michelle Garcia, now wearing a formal uniform with new medals, stood at the center of the stage. Beside her was First Counselor Vren and other Confederation leaders. "Today marks a new beginning," Admiral Garcia said to the crowd. "The Devourer Hive has been driven from Confederation space. Their Queen ship was destroyed, and their forces scattered." Cheers filled the room. After years of losses, the combined human and Confederation forces had won a complete victory. The last Hive ships had retreated beyond the known galaxy just 2 weeks ago. First Counselor Vren stepped forward. His 6 eyes looked out at the mixed crowd of species. "On behalf of the Galactic Confederation Council, I wish to formally thank humanity for their assistance. Without their help, we would have lost this war." He paused, then continued, "Today, I am pleased to announce that the Council has voted unanimously to revoke Law 7392, the Human Non-Engagement Protocol." The announcement caused excited whispers throughout the crowd. Many Confederation citizens had never expected to see humans accepted as equals. In its place, Vren continued, "We have signed a new treaty recognizing humans as full members of the Galactic Confederation, with all rights and responsibilities that entails." Admiral Garcia accepted a copy of the treaty, then addressed the crowd. "Humanity is honored to join the Confederation. We look forward to sharing knowledge, culture, and friendship with all your species." Later that evening, as the celebration continued, Lieutenant Commander Daniel Harris stood by a window looking out at Earth below. Alan Summers joined him, holding a drink. "You look thoughtful," Alan said. Daniel nodded. 5 years ago, they passed a law making it illegal to even approach us. Now we're full members. It's a big change. War changes things, Alan replied. They feared our capacity for violence. Now they appreciate it. Across the room, Dr. Samantha Miller was surrounded by Confederation scientists. Her once controversial paper was now required reading in Confederation academies. Species that had evolved without significant conflict were studying human military history to understand a different way of thinking. "The interesting thing about humans," she explained to the group, "is that we don't want war. We prepare for it so we can avoid it when possible and win it when necessary." In another part of the station, Captain Ben Martins met with alien diplomat Vriexel. They looked over plans for a new building. "The Joint Military Academy will include training from all our cultures," Ben explained. "Humans can learn patience and diplomacy from your species, while we can teach tactical thinking and adaptability." Vriexel nodded his feathered head. "A perfect combination. What shall we call it?" "How about the Andromeda's Veil Academy?" Ben suggested. "To remember where we first fought together." 1 year later, reports came in from the far edges of Confederation space. 3 aggressive species that had previously raided Confederation planets had retreated after learning that humans were now members of the Alliance. "They say they don't want trouble with the crazy warriors," laughed a Confederation border guard. The Confederation had existed for thousands of years as a peaceful union of species. Now, with human protection, that peace was stronger than ever. In the observation deck of the new academy, Admiral Garcia stood with First Counselor Vren, watching ships from many worlds pass by. "Do you regret bringing us into the Confederation?" Garcia asked. Vren's 6 eyes blinked thoughtfully. "At first, we feared your warlike nature. We thought it made humans dangerous. Now we understand it also makes you the best protectors we could hope for." Garcia smiled. "That's what humans have always been. Fierce when fighting, but most fierce when protecting others." Below them, human and alien students trained together, learning from each other, building a future where the law against approaching humans was just a memory from the past.